Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the CKC channel. It's been a while. Um, so we're back and another edition of Reflections. Apologies for the late start. We had some technical difficulties we had to sort out, but everything is running now. And I believe Dr.Bouah is also in the process of getting back. I think he had a flight early on today, so he should join us soon. So so we're going to switch it up a bit tonight um, because we'll have London joining us a bit later on. So we're going to first have a look at a nice game from our special guest. And then as soon as London is with us, he can join us and then we can do the interview. So welcome to everyone, especially if it's your first time watching the show. And Milky Shake Shake says, hi, Calvin. Welcome, Milky Shake Shake. If you're new to the show, please don't forget to press the follow button. If you can't press the follow button yet for some reason, you have to go to the Twitch homepage and just sign up very quickly. It's free and easy. And come back to the CKC channel, and then you can press the follow button. That will allow you to be updated on when we go live. And that, very importantly, you can then chat in the chat box, because the chat box is only for followers. So if you press the follow button, then you can ask our special guest whatever you want to, because we give that special time for our viewers as well to give questions. So so I think we can switch over to the chessboard, and then I would just like to introduce our special guest. So okay. Before I've got something here that I want to read about him. We've got lots of info on him. But I'm gonna try to keep it as short as I can. But what I can say is this is a very special person to me, myself as well. When I came to Cape Town for the first time, he was one of the first chess players that I also met here. A very colorful personality, very nice guy as well. Always nice to hang around him, even if you're not playing chess. Very strong chess player as well. You don't want to lose to him too much. And of course, a Steinitz Chess Club stalwart as well, but I'll tell you a bit more about that in a moment. So, guys, I would like to just switch scenes and introduce you to Mr. Mark Lewis. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be part of the show.
It's fantastic to have you here, Mark. And I'm quite excited to have you here. Like I said, London will join us soon, and we have the exciting part at the beginning for the first time in the reflections, where we're going to take a look at the game. I'm quite keen to see this game. The information, guys, is at the top over there. I'll allow Mr. Lou to tell us a bit about this game. Maybe give us a small intro to it. But before we do that, I just want to read some few highlights of Mr. Lewis's career here, guys, as a chess player. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep it short. There's so much we can mention here. So to list some, so this is now from the words of Mr. Lewis himself. To list some activities of my chess life is not easy. I have been involved in the game of chess for 45 years as a player, administrator, and a coach. The game has brought me in contact with people from all walks of life. I am just happy that I could contribute and add value to the sport. I am a founder, member of probably the most successful chess club in South Africa, the Steinitz Chess Club. The club is 43 years old and is presently the Western Cape Club champions. I have a passion for reporting on tournaments in a more humoristic way while giving the reader an immediate insight to the atmosphere in and around the chessboard. My aim is to encourage players to reach their full potential by unlocking resources with what facilities are available. I also aim to write my IO exam in the next year and to provide assistance in administrative functions. Mr. Lou, I'll leave it up to Bouah actually to talk about all of those things. I mean, the list is just so long, and with you being a player, coach, and an administrator. What can you tell me, Mr. Lou? I've spoken too much.
Well, it's always encouraging also to see new talent, young talent coming up, and I think it's important that the young players that we as the senior players share what
Yes,
we've learned through our time and experience, and it once you are able to share what you know, you enrich the
yes.
chess fraternity.
Okay, okay. And you know what? I'll just ask you a question. I know London is going to interview you, but maybe I should just ask you because I like to ask all my guests. How has the lockdown affected you as a chess player? Have you been playing chess during the lockdown?
Yeah, of course, but it's not the same, you know. I prefer the over the board games because there's so much more to learn. I think
Yes,
often we play online, we don't really analyze our online games.
yes,
It's just a game. It's just another game. You don't count how many online games you've played, uh, and you don't have an opportunity to really dig deep into those games. So I miss missing the players also that have became that I befriended, missing the traveling. That's what the lockdown has really done a lot. Have held us back in many a way.
yes.
But I'm hoping that it will come back. I see internationally it's come back. So looking forward to the day when we can again meet our chess friends and family effectively.
Yes, yes. I'm also counting the days if you can. So yeah. And
Mm.
Elroy Jacob says, "Nant and the aunt, welcome Elroy." Moki Shake says, "Hi, Mr. Lewis as well." So I think yeah, I think I mustn't take too much time with the talking. Llewellyn Jay says, "Greetings, Mark, Lyndon, and Calvin. Welcome, Llewellyn, to the show." Um, and Mr. Lou, so this is now. Um, 2017 Kuro Durbanville. I believe this is the SA senior closed, right?
The seniors close there.
Yes. So this is you chose this game, Shabir Baudin, against yourself. Can
Yeah.
you give us a small
Good
intro?
job.
Maybe what round was it?
It
Can you remember what was the tournament
was
situation?
I'm I'm speaking now from memory, but I think it was around 9. I think
Okay,
it was around 9.
from
So it was an
11 round event,
important,
right?
yeah, 11 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a very important time of the event because one had to make an impact here if you wanted to be in the prizes.
Okay. Okay. And 2017, was that the year that you won it?
Yeah, that's the year I won the tournament. Yeah.
Okay, so this definitely needs to be good then for you to be in the prizes then. All right.
Yeah.
So and Monster Frick says good evening, Mr. Lewis. That's of course Jock. Welcome, Jock. Lezarik says good evening, and Sean Wellenberg says great to see veteran Mark Lewis on the show. Welcome, Sean, and thanks guys for the comments thus far. And okay, so Mr. Lew, I think you can also move the chessboard from your side. So let us begin with the chess.
Okay. So yeah, let's see where do we go there.
All right, so e4.
Yeah, so Shabir and I have been competitors for many years. I mean, probably 30 or so years we've been playing against each other,
Yes,
and we've always had tough combats.
yes.
Um, and so we know each other's style.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'll play into a type of game that he would expect of me for a while, but I was well prepared for
Okay,
this game.
okay.
So so I during that time I used to often play the perk, so
Yes,
you can see really I'm not hiding anything, so there's
yes.
no surprises. Um,
Knight to
so we
f6.
just continue the main line at this stage, and we're waiting to see who's going to deviate first.
All right, and I think I saw Denise there as well in the background. So it looks like London might be joining us soon. But okay, G6. I like what I'm seeing, Mr. Lou. I think I've seen you playing this for quite a while as well. It's a nice combative opening, right?
Yeah, you see, work. Although it's quite analyzed now, but it's very difficult to for white. Although he's got a lot of space, it's difficult for him to dominate or just to do his thing. Black always has an opportunity to come back.
Yes, yes. Now I like it. It gives white lots of options, but it also gives black a chance to fight for the full point. So bishop to e3. It looks like Shabir is going in his style here. Maybe he's looking to long castle.
Yeah, I expected this from Shabir, but I didn't expect bishop e3 immediately. Normally, one would either, play the light squared bishop out as well.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay at this stage, so it's fine.
All right. So bishop e3, bishop g7.
And of course, now he's just going straight for the. He just wants to make sure that I don't have any advantage early on. So he goes straight for the 6 square, you see.
Yes, yes, yes. Now he's making his intentions clear, yeah, it seems.
Yeah.
So queen
I've got
d2.
to make a decision now. I've got to make a decision how I'm going to handle this.
And I like that what you're doing. You can continue. I also want to say something about this move.
Yeah, no, this sort of I can go either side. I can with this move. It's C6. It's becoming very popular even amongst the top players at the moment.
Yes,
C6.
yes, very very flexible. It's like it's not showing your full hand yet. Sometimes you don't have to castle. You're already starting some ideas with b5 and maybe even a5, starting to look on the queen side just in case your opponent long castles. So I think playing the perk is not for everybody. I think you have to be experienced because there's lots of nuances and stuff that you need to be aware of. And if you just play one-sided and just castle, for instance, here, it might give your opponent an easy game. Yeah. So yeah.
You got to wait for the right time. That's important.
All right. So knight to f3.
So now knight f3. That's now what we're waiting to see how he's going to develop his knight and so forth. Or is he going to put a pawn on f3? That's what I was waiting for. So that's why I'm holding back the castling.
Yes.
So that I can first see how his structure is going to be, how his piece placement is going to be, and so forth. Now I know if e4 can be a target for me or whatever.
Yes. Okay. So how do we continue? All right, castling.
Although it feel a little comfortable with my castling now. That's what I expected of him. And he goes straight away at the anticipated bishop h6, which he was preparing for.
All right, so he's trying to get rid of that dangerous bishop we see in a lot of openings like the dragon and so on. I think Lyndon them are there in the background, but if they can maybe mute, if they can hear us, Lyndon over there, as soon as you guys get ready, you can just give us an indication. But yeah, it sounds like they're moving around chairs and stuff, getting ready. Okay, in the meantime, so bishop h6. So you're going to have to part with that beautiful g7 bishop, but it's not in the end of the world. Yeah. Queen a5.
So for me, that's okay because now I'm immediately attacking because he's got to make a decision. He can't leave the bishop there all the time. He's got to make a decision. So with queen a5, yeah, I'm showing I'm ready for him if he intends to castle.
In fact, I don't know if I see attack. I'm not sure if it's a huge threat. Maybe it's not even. Maybe it's a bit too dangerous. But I'm looking at this bishop h6, queen h6, and possibly knight takes e4 business. There's a pin.
At this stage, it doesn't work. I know that one doesn't work.
I know it looks very risky, especially because the queen's so close and knight g5 ideas might be looming. But it could be a possibility for if white
possibly is not there's a threat because of his. The problem is with his knight also being able to jump into his knight on the f3. It could also be a danger
to g5. Yeah, so black must just be very careful not to abandon his king over there. Mr. Lou, before we continue, I've got a question here in the chat box. Milky Shake is asking here, Mr. Lewis, what part of the game would you say is your favorite? So I'm assuming opening, middle game, end game.
Look, for me at the moment, it depends on who I play. At the moment, I like my openings because
Okay.
I do a lot of research on openings at the moment,
Yes.
and I've come up with uh, a lot of innovative openings throughout the years that helped me get a good surprise element.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I can also join you with
Most of
that. I
the time,
also like looking at openings. So especially if I'm bored, I can just look at new stuff whenever I want
yeah.
to.
Look,
So
the thing is, openings is at in most of our lives, openings is the one that changes the most, and
mm,
also the value. If you evaluate that and you give it, there's always new theory coming out on openings.
yeah, of course. So you can always
In
stay
game
busy.
stay to stay the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you know an in game a certain type of in game, it will stay the same. It doesn't change
Yeah.
unless you get computer assistance.
Of
You know,
course,
but more.
you need to master it and accumulate them in the
Yeah.
meantime. But I agree with you. I love openings. So okay. So Queen A5 was played. What next?
So now this forces his hand because of the very fact that you're saying that he's got to decide now, does he want to leave the bishop there and continue his development,
Yes.
or just what does he want to do? So
So
so now he decides to exchange, and I'm very happy because now there's less pressure for me on my king there.
yes.
My pieces can start to continue doing their work.
All right.
Okay.
So then White continues Bishop D3.
So now
So
he's got to make a decision. How is he going to? He's got to maintain his grip on the e pawn.
uh-huh.
And I decide, okay, fine, let's just continue with developing our pieces slowly because I do still want to have control of the e5. He can't push the e5
Yes.
pawn at the moment.
Yes, I was gonna say now that Queen on A5 is covering that square quite nicely. That's a major
And he has to
danger
make
that
the
you need to watch
decision.
out.
He has to make the decision on does he castle king side or queen side, and I can swing over with my queen to any side.
Aha, I like. Okay, so Mr. Lou, I've got another question in the chat box here for you. Coach Roland is also in the chat box. Welcome, Coach Roland. He says, hi, guys. And Boom Shaka is saying here, good evening, gents. Question for Mark. How have you prepared for this game compared to your previous years playing against Shabir? So has something maybe changed in this specific game, maybe the tournament situation, or is it the same old process of preparing for Shabir for this game?
Not really. This I didn't. This was not specifically prepared for him.
Ah,
It's just that I did this kind of preparation for in this particular line.
okay. So you say your prep was already strong for the tournament.
Look, I did go through a tough time at that stage, so I couldn't prepare specifically for an opponent.
Aha.
So I decided that if whoever I get a chance to
Yes.
play this particular line, then I would try it out.
Okay. No, I
You
like
know,
that. You know what? I checked. I was watching this DVD. Um. I think who was it? I think it was Anant, I think. I was watching this DVD on chess, a chess-based DVD from Anant, and Anant was showing a couple of games. There's a lot of clips in this. Couple of games, clips. He was showing games where he played the Slav defense, and
yeah,
he mentioned in this one clip, okay, I'm playing the same line, and you know what's the benefit? He studied this line. You know, studying openings. If you study something, if you put in a lot of effort into something, and you put in the hours, it might seem long, but then it actually benefits you for a long time because you can play that same line over and over for a year or two ongoing. So I get what you're saying. If you put in the work, it really comes out. Sometimes
yeah.
when you
Yeah,
don't
on the
expect
other
it,
hand,
even.
I know because I know Shabir very well. We know each other's style. We compete a lot. Um, I knew I must not give him a lot of opportunities for tactics.
Yes.
And although the perk allows a lot of tactics, I had to make sure that I don't play too wild. That I give him limited
Aha.
opportunity.
Yes. Okay. Right. So yeah, I think we need to move on with the game. I'm sure
Yeah.
we need to get to the other side as well. Do we hear London here as well?
Yes, that's right, Calvin. And hi, Mark, and good evening, listeners.
Okay, let's just get London's visuals going on here. London, you might want to just make your zoom slightly lower over there. But
Until now.
all right, that seems fine. Let me just get you in. There we see London as well. Let me just adjust the camera slightly so I have him in properly. Sorry, Mark. I just want to get London in properly here.
Okay.
Let's move him to the right a bit. And yeah, so yeah, okay, London, if you can just move slightly to your left, then you're in 100%, but we can already see you. There we go. Perfect. So welcome, Dr. Bouah.
Thank you very much, Calvin and Mark. I just arrived from Johannesburg now, first flight in about 6 to 7 months. But back, we needed to go to Pretoria for some work purposes. But excited to be here with Mark Lewis.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fantastic to have you here. We started a bit late, so we at the start of this game. So let's continue. Knight to B D7, long castle, and yeah.
So now, at least now, once your opponent has castle, that means you can define the area of attack.
Yes. Right. So you know where to go. So you play the rook to E8 over here.
Yeah.
So
it's a
you
bit
also,
of a slow approach.
Yes.
But as I said, I don't want to give him too much tactical opportunities. So
is B5 not an option immediately, Mark?
It is, but I thought I'll just reserve that for now. It's always available. It's always available, but to limit the tactical opportunities for him, I must bring that pawn up at the correct time. I felt it was too early at this stage. He's overprotecting E4. So first, let me get all my pieces at the most optimum squares, and then I'll push.
Yeah, and I like that idea, Mark, just to add something there with E5 as a possibility. You know, when you play B5, it looks very nice with B4 and so on, but the queen is a bit alone, and black doesn't have all the space in the world. So sometimes when you play E5 and you remove that pawn on D4, then you can get these squares on C5 and E5 for your knights to actually hop in and join the attack. Just makes it more luscious your attacking possibilities. So yeah, anyway, so rook to E8, king
so
D1.
obviously now he plays this. This is sort of I nearly want to say a reflex move, king to B1. But now the problem is now there's no dark square bishop anymore. So there's no need for the king to come onto a light square.
Yes, I see what you mean.
As I said, it's simply a reflection. But okay, the thing is that then because if the knight moves, then of course that pawn will be under scrutiny there.
Well, B5 and B4 possibly. So yeah, I think we need to move on to the critical moments here.
Okay, so E5, get control of the center.
H4.
And he starts his attack on the I nearly want to say a la Magnus Carlsen.
Yeah. All the engines also would love that. They would condone that move, H4.
Yep, and what's that guy will say? Harry, you have got to move Harry at some stage.
Yes. And I like your response here. The reason why I like it, it's typical in the Dragon as well. H5. I love that move.
Yeah.
So it's trying
to
delay.
You just don't want any nonsense on that side.
Yes.
The king is not on my side, so I can't allow any. So now this move, I thought he's not playing the game that he need to play, because playing the rook to G1 got no sense, made no sense to me at that stage. So I thought he's underestimating the power of the attack coming onto the queen side or down the center.
All right, and just by the way, Duke Simon says, hi guys, welcome Duke, and King Ulster says, good evening hosts and Mark. Welcome King Ulster. Okay,
so now the knight moves back, but we'll see now the idea behind this. in
Pawn
the next
takes
few moves.
e5, pawn takes e5,
Yeah.
and white
That's
leaps forward.
releasing the tension there, but Kelvin, don't you think from white side, or is it to free the knight?
It seems like he wants to. It seems like white is not interested in the center here. He wants to open up things. So I guess
He's
he
trying
needs
to
to.
push.
He needs to take if he wants to move his knight closer. So
Okay.
takes knight g5, and of course black
now
needs to complete the development as well, Mr. Lou. Knight e6 or bishop e6.
Bishop e6, I think caught him by surprise. He probably expected the knight to e6.
Aha.
My interpretation or assessment of the position was that my knights will do much better in this position.
Aha. Especially with
Then
those dark
okay.
squares
Yeah.
creaking a bit, and white's light square bishop doesn't look too active yet. So you played
Yeah.
bishop
Yeah.
e6,
Yeah.
inviting knight takes e6.
Yeah, it's because I control more squares with my knight than with my bishop.
Yes.
So, but it's interesting, Mark, that you voluntarily give up a bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah, naturally one wouldn't do that, but yeah, it seems good. So you need to evaluate properly.
In the current position, he's actually forced to do something about my bishop, or otherwise he's got to move a pawn.
Yes, and yeah, that a2 square is already heating up over there.
Yeah, his queen will be on pre if I take there. So you can't take my bishop.
Tell me something, Lyndon. Can you see the board, or must we invite you?
No, I'm fine. If you want to invite on a study, you can do that as well. You can just send something to Jock.
Let's just see if I can. Oopsie. Okay, yeah. Let's just add. Add. We all know Monster. Monster. What is it again?
1979.
1979. Okay, let's just add Monster over there.
Okay. So we go on. So
Yeah.
he takes
Okay, so he's
immediately,
also
and
there.
of course now I felt.
There we go. The knights are looking good. They're aiming.
Yeah. So now I felt very good because I felt now I'm getting control of the position.
Yes. And the one knight on f6 is defending, and the other one is probably lurking around looking for attacking ideas. Nice
Yeah.
duo over there. Okay.
So I think these knights will soon create some nightmares.
and the next move that I see here, it's not a move that white wants to play, eh? It doesn't look like a move that you want to play.
I thought that white's whole plan was to play f3 and g4.
Yeah, so
yes.
But he's maybe realizing the dark squares are not looking good if you go f3, g4. I mean, those dark squares are permanently weak. So definitely not what white wants to do here psychologically. Llewellyn says, welcome London as well in the chat box.
Thanks.
So g3 and knight to d4.
Yes.
So there's some threats already in the air.
That's right. So even if he had to play the other move that you suggested, London, f3 would still knight to d5 is still a very good response to that.
Yeah.
Because then g4 still allows knight takes f3.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah.
So
but I wonder then if that initial strategy, Calvin, of bishop h6 and bishop takes g7 was correct from black side, because surely it would have been better to just keep the bishops on the board and not exchange it so early.
Yeah, it's a give and take situation, or sometimes it's good. I mean, positionally maybe long term, but sometimes you want to get rid of that guy just to break through. So I guess you're forced to play like super aggressive if you do go for that. But if you slow down, then it's not looking good. So I think it's going at a nice pace here for black. So knight to d4, the white switches to rook f1 here. Maybe he wants to, first of all, dodges knight f3 fork, and maybe he can play f3 or f4. And so this is just now for all the beginners out there, all the inexperienced players. This move just makes 100% sense to me. I think some people call it the Makugonov rule. There's lots of rules out there. It's improve your worst piece. And rook to d8. Beautiful. Everybody's playing. Rooks, knights, queen. So, and the rook is also eyeing the queen on d2, by the way. So,
a little X-ray, as the book should say.
Yes. So yeah, that makes it makes your heart warm with that type of move. Everybody's playing. Into c1. So again, another move, not what white wants to do. And now it seems like you're just building momentum, Mr. Lou. Finally, you've been
Finally, B5 is coming. The
You've
move
been-
Yeah.
torturing us. We've been waiting for B5 all night.
But now, if the threat now is if I push the knight away,
Yeah.
there's no queen behind that.
There's no queen.
There's no queen that can come up, because the pawn, actually, you will see the pawn needs momentum. That pawn creates it's quite threatening to know your pawn can push to B4.
Yes.
But it's actually got a greater threat than that because of the bishop on D3.
Aha. Okay. So we're seeing some nuances here. Maybe a bit soon we're
So
going to see something.
Yeah, it took quite a bit of deep thinking on my side, because
Yes.
I had to look at all these possibilities. But in the end, you will see that it actually it worked out.
Mr. Lou, I have to just mention a few things here in the chat box here. King Ulster says, this perk is so slow, but solid with frustrating latent threats. Great maneuvering, Mr. Lewis. Thanks, King Ulster. And Marky Shake has got a question here for you. Mark, who is your favorite chess player? Welcome to Isvan, by the way. Isvan says, hello, Mark. I've been watching from the beginning. Isvan is a regular on our show. Welcome, Isvan. So, yeah, Mark, who's your favorite chess player?
Well, Kramnik was always my favorite player until he retired now. So I like to go after the living legends and the
Yes.
guys that's active.
Yes.
So at the moment, I'm a Magnus Carlsen fan.
Ah, okay, cool. So yeah, Kramnik and Carlsen. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so pawn to b5. White played f3 over here. So white is building super slow here. I'm not sure what white is up to. And there we go with b4 in knocking the knight. Knight to d1. And okay, Mr. Lou, you need to explain the next move for us. What's happening here?
Okay. So now we've got the knight in a submissive position. So now it's ready for me to take over the action while his pieces are busy sleeping.
Yes.
You know, they strike while the iron is hot.
You know, if you look at the white pieces, it almost seems, I'm gonna quote, I don't know who said it at this match, Karpov and Kasparov. It almost seems like white is setting himself up for a Fischer random game. He's packing the. So it's only the bishop that's alive here on d3, but the next move really loosens white's position. So
yeah. I think something has got to give. You have to. I don't think one must be slow when you are able to have so much space. You have to just make use of it while you have the chance.
Yes.
Otherwise, your opponent comes back, and you give him a chance, like, to come back in the game and to assert himself.
All right. So the next move, pawn to b3. Wow. Okay. So everybody's protecting b3, but you played anyway.
Yeah, everything is protecting the b3. That's why I played it.
But it's interesting. I was thinking, Mark, that when I realized that you were going for this, that you were attacking the base of the pawn chain. So you were really understanding the Nimzovician principles of my system.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah. Although lots of things have changed in theory about that.
So, but in essence,
now he's got to answer. He doesn't have a choice. It's actually it's a big question being asked of his structure here.
And of course, you are hinting at the fact that the bishop on d3 might be a bit loose after some c takes and so on. So
yes.
So yeah, b3. So white takes on b3, a takes b3, and of course,
the problem with it, everything is forced for him. He is forced to respond.
Yes, because b3 you're already threatening mate in 1. Knight takes b3.
And this is also threatening mate in 1.
Threatening mate in 1. So white is pretty much forced to capture. And the rook takes, crashing through in the middle.
If you now look at the slow maneuvering of his and look at the pawn structure, so many islands you can get lost here. You can get So the pawns is not looking good.
Some islands, it seems like tropical weather over here.
Yeah.
So so rook takes d3, and white now seeing no attack really from his sides. He grabs on c6. So okay, white grabs a pawn. Maybe doesn't see a mate immediately, and you grab on b3.
Yeah.
And then pawn to f4. Okay, so now white has got his eyes set on f6. He wants to open up the F file.
It's actually targeting the rook on an E8 as well.
Aha, with a possible rook takes knight and then E8 will be hanging. Okay. Okay, things are heating up here.
But this has been seen. This has been I saw this, so that's why the
Doubling up.
attack on is important.
Okay, so rook f2 protects on b2. Of course, f takes e. You can just play queen takes, and you're covering everything. And,
everything, yeah. And
also
and going for b2.
Yeah. So rook f2 and rook 8 to b6, just nudging the queen. Queen c4.
Yeah.
And you're really having a nice chat here with the queen.
Yeah, he thought I'm gonna play for a draw.
All right, so we go back. Queen c4. This time you use the other rook, okay? Signaling you want to play. Queen d3. And okay.
And there the e pawn is loose.
E4 drops.
Yeah.
So the knight joins now. The knight has had enough of defending. So he's also lurking around. Rook e2. And we're continuing to chase the queen. Rook d4. Okay.
Now this move actually is actually the end of the game for him, because there's no safe square for his queen as well as for his king.
No safe square for his queen.
Because of the knight c3 threat.
Okay, so let's say he goes. Can he go queen c2?
He can go queen c2.
What if he goes queen c2?
However, then the knight goes into d2.
Ah, okay. Knight d2. King can't go to the right, so he has to go to c1.
Yeah. And then there's a checkmate coming up
Holy
on a1.
Moly.
Which should be a very unique mate.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
So the queen, okay, there's too much threats here, like you said. The queen and the king is in trouble over here.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So the knight comes in with devastating effect, rook d4. And here white had to play queen takes rook.
Yeah.
Okay. Pawn takes queen. Rook takes knight. So he's got the knight and the rook for queen. Queen d2 just invading.
Yeah, now it's the end of any further play for him because of queen d3.
Ah, okay. And queen d3 just seals it. King check and f1 hangs. Yeah, beautiful display.
And probably mate also.
Beautiful stuff there, Mr. Lou.
There's too many things happening now.
I don't think this was a perk. I think this was an attacking game. I'm sure, Mark, this perk that you said there, because I've never seen these perks so attacking.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I might have to revisit the perk. Isn't there a book or something called the Perky Perk?
Maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, brilliant game over there, Mark. And yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get Shabir on the show as well, so that he can also show us some games here. Because the other week we had Maxwell also saying something about Shabir. We all know what Shabir is capable of. But hats off to you, Mark, for this brilliant game. And we've got a comment here.
Also, I think this game put me into clear first.
Okay. Okay, I'm sure Shabir was your main rival probably in that one.
Yeah.
So that was a brilliant, excellent one after that. So yeah, just in here in the chat box, it says Roland says, Mark, can I share you something interesting about your first time you represented SA in an international event? So he's asking, can he share something?
Yes, of course he can share.
So by all means, Roland.
No, you must share, Mark. You must share.
Oh, can you share? Yeah, a typo over there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, look, when we played at the World Seniors, there was quite a lot of interesting things, because there's one guy that I played against Michael Town. So anyone that played against Michael Town, I mean, I think it was Harold Keller, and he was one of the strongest players in their team. So then I managed to beat him. That was for me quite a highlight, because it's like I also played against a guy that played against Tau.
Aha! And then you beat him as well.
So you got that link.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And by the way, Roland says here, this game I believe we just showed. He says, I saw this game 5 times already.
Yeah, he's part of my analytical
Analysis
team.
team. Yes.
Go through everything.
Yes. And Iswan says, very nice. And Malky Sheikh says, nice game, Mr. Lewis. And Sean says, great stuff, Mark. You did not give Dr. Shane a chance to open his bag. Oh, Dr. Shabir probably. A chance to open his bag. So, yeah, we all know
Yeah.
about that bag of tricks over there. Yeah, excellent game, Mark. So, yeah, brilliant stuff. I'm sure Lyndon has got his interview stuff lined up there for us.
Yep.
So yeah, Mark, I'd like to thank you for this game. Quite a lovely game, and well done. So I think
Thank
we
you
can
very much.
now switch over.
Yep,
to
we've got
the
about 20
library.
minutes, Mark. Still, we're still going to chat a bit about some of the careers. And Mark, one of the things that has been really interesting is to note that you've played chess for probably about 45 years now. So, Mark, you've been playing close to half a century. How do you keep the passion going?
If you love something, there's two things you must do. You must never stop learning, and you must keep practicing.
Never stop learning.
Yeah.
And Mark, tell us about the 1970s, because I'm always fascinated with the story about how did Steiner's Chess Club get founded, and those early days in the 70s. How did you learn to play chess? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, my dad actually bought me a chess set, and I didn't understand anything about the game. It's just that I was introduced by one of my primary school teachers, Mr. Wilkinson. He introduced me to this game, and thereafter it's just like something opened up, and I wanted to learn to know more. And we had a library nearby, and I was a frequent visitor of the library. And instead of looking for books to read, I just looking for chess books. That's all I was interested in.
Okay. And Mark, back in 1977, what gave you the impetus to think about starting a chess club, and how did you guys think up with a name like Steinitz?
It was at the time of the riots, and of course, we for a while didn't really go to school much, and there was a few of us in the area, Norman McQueen, Ibrahim Hotel. They were all guys who could play a little bit of the game. We all could play a little, and then we got connected. We met up and we all started to play. And then after, in fact, we were already since end of 1976 or in beginning of 76, we started already. But it was only in 77 that we said, guys, let's start a chess club. And because I was an avid reader, I came up with the name Steinitz because that was the first world champion. And I thought, seeing this is the first in our area, it would only be appropriate to have the name Steinitz being. And I thought that the guys that I was with, they were very eager. And I've never seen that passion amongst these guys. And we were all eager to start something new. And
that's a lovely story, Mark. Now, last week we had Advocate Maxwell Solomon, and he was telling us about some of the rivalry. And but he also mentioned that some of the top players were guys from Manianani. And I noticed that you said that one of your first big wins was in 1982 against Gordon Lawrence. Tell us a bit about that win.
Yeah, it was a team event, a league match. And my guys asked me, Mark, can you play board one? And I thought, oh, I must play Gordon Lawrence. And that time he was the SA champion. He was one of the top players, rated over 2000. And I studied a particular line in the Queen's Gambit. And I prepared that line to play against him. And lo and behold, I managed to possibly trick him, but I actually checkmated him on the board. And he was so shocked. And when I got that result, my whole team jumped up and they couldn't believe it. They made so much noise. So it was quite a moment for us. It was historical.
But it sounds like there was a very nice chess atmosphere with Mitchell's Plain just being formed in 1980. And then there you had Steinitz and you had Grassy Park and others. Did you play in those early years of the league?
Yes, definitely. I hardly missed a game. In fact, for a little while, I also went to play for Mitchell's Plain to help them
Yes,
because they had some problems. And I said, come, I was staying in Mitchell's Plain at the time, and I thought,
right.
let me help to them as well.
Mark, now one of the things is, of course, you work in the financial services. You run a busy practice there, but it seems to me that in the last 10 to 15 years, you've still managed to win a few tournaments. And I noted that in 2008 you won the SA Masters. You part of the Steinitz A team that contributes to winning the league. What advice can you give players who are also having jobs and they wish to dedicate some time to study and train to prepare for matches? How do you go about? Because you must have a secret, because you've won the SA title, SA over 50s, and you won that first one in 2008, which was also significant. Tell us how you did it, Mark.
It's a fine balance, you know. I'm fortunate that I have my own business, and I have had a very understanding wife. That's important. You must make sure you don't burn any bridges, um, and of course many other interests. But I am a guy that loves to travel, and
Okay.
I go out there to take on the players. I believe a chess player must travel to. You can't just be a player that plays only against the same players. I like to play against different players all the time.
Yes. And Mark, one of the things that I remember closely was a certain SA Open in Bloemfontein had a very significant draw for you in that particular tournament. Tell us a bit about that SA Open that was in Bloemfontein in 2005.
Well, before I start with the SA Open, I must actually at this stage I can say thank you to Dr.Bouah for I needed some reading material, and he gave me the end games of one of the great coaches. You remember that coach, Lyndon?
Mark
The guy who
Dovetsky.
wrote this end game book.
Mark Dovetsky.
Yeah, my namesake. But yeah, and became so passionate. I took the bus to Bloemfontein and read most of the critical in-game positions I studied while on that bus. And then when I came to, I'm sure that had an impact on my games, how I played it. And at that tournament, I had also studied the line, the C3 Sicilian.
Right.
And I thought, for the first time in my life, I played it in a competition, and I played it against the great Watu Kobesi.
Right. And how did that turn out?
And of course, he wanted to deviate from the main line, and the more he deviated, the more problems he created. So I got to a position that I had a pawn up. I had a very promising position, but as he is a wily character, he offered me a draw with him only having 3 minutes left on the clock, and I had about 10. But thinking about this draw, it bothered me so much that I thought, no, I don't think I can beat him on the clock. There's still a lot of work to be done. And
Yes.
I then decided, okay, we can always fight another day. And I decided to take the draw.
No, but look, that's not bad to draw against Watu Kobese, of course. No. And Mark, but you seem to have a good record against some of these SA champions. And in 2011, going back to Bloemfontein, you played Rodwell Makoto in the SA Club Championship. Now, tell us a bit about that game, because Rodwell, as far as I can recall, also won the SA Championship in 2012 in Cape Town. But tell us a bit about that game against Rodwell.
I can tell you that the most of the game was actually preparation. Gerald Times was my coach at the time, and he advised me what to do, how to play against Rodwell. And I studied, because I know Rodwell is a Groenveld player, and I studied a line that I looked at. Rodwell didn't really play that particular variation much. And we didn't have a lot of time because we're playing him first thing in the morning. And then I could go with this prepared variation, and he fell right into the trap. And And then time ran out for him thinking through all the possible variations, and I managed to checkmate him also on the board.
So no, that was definitely a good victory, because we know that Rodwell has become quite a strong IM as well, and of course we've seen on some of Calvin's shows, Rodwell showing us some of his games there as well. Mark, in these last few years, you've been an integral member of Steinitz. What other highlights would you think would you say in your chess career stands out for you? Because you've been the Western Province Closed champion in 2008 and 2010. You were Western Province Open champion, and then you became the SA over 50 champion. So a champion in your own right, both individually and in a team. Which one stands out for you?
Look, it was always good for me, the SA Closed, to be able to be part of that tournament, to be able to win the event in 2017. That was quite an achievement for me. I felt quite good at that. But also being part of a winning team. All the club championships we took part in, that for me is important. I believe that builds character, and that shows that you are prepared to you've got team culture. But the other thing that I found also enjoyed a lot is the Western Cape Close we had recently. At the end of, it was one of my last tournaments that I won. That to me also was a very important event, although it was not maybe one of the strongest events, I can say, but I felt it was an important milestone. It's always good to be amongst those that did the first. And there was another event that I took part in with Donovan van der Heever. We took part in the national team championships. I think it was the one which was under Elder Smart's name.
Yes, in Bloemfontein.
Bloemfontein. That was also a very important event, which I was glad to be part of. So in terms of the playing, but in terms of playing, I've always enjoyed these big competitions. The SA Open for me is always a very important event to be part of. It doesn't matter if you don't win the event, but to be part of it is important.
No, Mark, we know how important the SA Open is to you, because I recall one year in 2002, you drove down to PE and you only played the last 6 rounds, but you were part of the SA Open.
Yes, and I didn't lose again.
No, we'll remember that strategy of yours. Mark, now going from your playing career, you've also been a coach and has represented South Africa at the coaching level, being a manager and a coach of some of the teams. And I believe you've been to Egypt, you've been to Spain and other countries. Which one has been your favorite trip that you went on with a team, and what is your coaching philosophy?
Look, the tournament where I had the best success was actually the one we went to Zambia.
Right.
Where I scored the highest amounts of medals. I'm not sure if that record has ever been achieved. I think you, possibly the year before, was going there, and I tried to just beat your record.
Yes, yes.
But
in fact, Mark, you scored 32 medals and 28 titles. And yes, we in Botswana the previous year, I think we had something like 25 medals. So your 32 definitely stands out, and 28 titles. I don't think it was ever beaten, but well done on that in Zambia.
Yeah, and of course, I enjoyed the World Youth in Turkey. That to me was also a great tournament to be at, because you rub shoulders with players that you will normally not meet, or coaches. In fact, I managed to help one of the players there, and afterwards I found out that her dad is friends with Joel Benjamin, and Joel Benjamin then sent me a copy of his book, which was still about to be published. He sent me a copy of that, so I was happy that I could be part of that.
No, great guy. That in fact, Joel Benjamin was one of the players that played a number of Olympiads to the USA, and in fact, in 1994, in round 1, the USA played against South Africa on stage. And if my memory serves, then Watu played against Joel Benjamin in that match. So yeah, he's well known and of course a top chess player in his own right. Mark, while you were coaching, playing these tournaments, I also remember that you often served as a president and as a treasurer in many of the chess organizations. What is your view about chess administration? Is it important to be a chess administrator? How do you see it?
Look, I think we need to get able to put ourselves out there. The players, it need not to be a player, but those with the passion and the skills, we need to make use of it. We need to add value. We cannot be selfish in any way. We need to share our abilities so that it is always for the greater good. And if we have knowledge about things, we need to be able to do that. Chess must become shared. We must share our resources. And I feel it's important that we bring back that culture of sharing our resources so that chess can become richer.
No, Mark, thank you very much. And I think one of I often tell people listening to the show and watching the show that most of the players have had a history as a player first, and then you become a member of your club, and later on you become an administrator and a trainer. And Mark, you've done that, and you've done it very well. So from my side, thank you very much. I've got one or two questions, but I'm going to first ask Calvin if he has some questions from the audience, and then I'll conclude after that, Calvin, with one or two of my last questions. Over to you, Calvin.
Just a second. Okay. Okay, so I'm back, guys, over here. Let me just look the right way. Okay, so yeah, I do have one question here. Let's see. We've got another question here. Okay, so we've got two questions thus far. Thanks guys, everyone for the questions thus far and during the games as well. Boom Shaka has a question here. Great listening to Mark share in his past achievements and experiences. That is from Boom Shaka. And then the question is, quick question, what are your future aspirations in chess, Mark?
That's a tough question. I'm looking forward to the over the board games again, that we can travel and stuff like that. But I would like to go to the world individual senior championships. That's what I would like. I was supposed to go a few years ago after I won the event, but that never materialized. So I'm still hoping for that. Is one of my desires, that I want to still play in that event.
Okay.
So
fantastic.
And of course, yeah, there's other smaller areas that I also need to improve on. So I have still got lots to do in chess, I feel.
That's great to hear, especially coming from you, Mark. I mean, a lot of our youngsters lose their aspirations, and coming from you, having done so much already, it's good to hear that you still have stuff going on. Okay, so there's suddenly a surge of questions here. I hope you guys, there's 2 or 3 more questions. I hope it's you guys have patience here with all of this. It's always good to hear from the viewers. So the next one is from Monster Frick. He says, Mark, I find you very passionate about chess tactics and sharing entertaining examples from your own games with your followers, and sometimes even straight after a match with some added spiced up humor. My question to you is, did you train your accurate tactical chess eye, or were you born with it? What's your secret?
I don't think one can be born with that kind of gift. I think you have to practice it. You might have, I believe some players think that I must play more tactical chess, but I think once you have acquired a tactical skill, it will come out in your game, even if you play more positional chess. It will, once the tactics comes out, it's there. It's part of your nature. It's part of your character. So I do practice tactics a lot. I go through puzzles, especially before a tournament. I don't study openings that much. I study more tactics.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Thanks, Mark. So study your tactics, guys, if you want to play like Mark. And then, yeah, let's see. A question from King Ulster, second last question in the chat box. King Ulster says here for Mark, did you maintain a repertoire over the years? Did you shape your openings or the openings shape your style?
I think I did maintain a repertoire for most of my playing career, but it also changes because you're playing, sometimes you play the same opponent. You don't want to play the same lines against them. So you've got to look at different repertoires, and I'm always trying to learn new stuff. The last few years have seen a total change in my playing style, simply because I do like to surprise my opponents.
Aha. So flexibility also important there. Thanks, Mark. And then Roland is asking here, Mark, you were instrumental in organizing a norm tournament. How did that go?
Well, it was actually at the time that we felt that Kenny Solomons was not yet a GM, but he needed some opportunity to become a GM. And it was because of that idea that we then decided to have a norm tournament and actually had the first GM norm tournament in South Africa at that stage. And I was glad to be part of that. And Kenny actually did quite well in that tournament. He gained a lot of rating points at that particular event. And I think he was just short of half a point or so of getting a norm, his final GM norm.
Okay.
So it went very well, and I think it's a kind of event we must actually investigate or to research. We need to have more of those events, especially in Cape Town. We're sadly lacking that kind of tournaments here.
Yeah, a very important event, Calvin, also 2014, because it's not often spoken about because it was a double event, one in Pretoria and one here in Cape Town. And Kenny came second in Cape Town, but he won in Pretoria. And one of the things that Kenny told me once when we were traveling together was that actually people don't realize, but that tournament had 5 grandmasters playing in. You know, so when last have you had a South African winning a tournament with 5 grandmasters in, and then Kenny coming second in the tournament after that to Struikovic, who we know became a South African champion the year after. So some great ideas there, Mark. Thank you very much for that. Calvin, over to you, and then I've got the last 2 questions.
Yeah, so I think that's it from my side. King Ulster just saying, Kramnik is still commentating, LOL. Yeah, no, the Norway stuff is also busy over there. So it's interesting how your living hero is also commentating at the same time. So
yeah.
Okay, so now yeah, that's all from me in the chat box. So yeah, Lyndon, you can finish off from your side, and yeah, then we can take it from there.
Thanks, Calvin. Mark, you've obviously got a very strong passion, and what would you, let's say if somebody asks you a training method, what would you subscribe? Would you is it 2 hours a day, 1 hour a day? What would you tell the viewers? How can one improve on one's own if you don't have a chess coach?
I think regular practice, you know, each one's time and amount of time he has available is different. But as long as you're doing it regularly and analyzing your own games, of course, is vital. And not just looking through it, but doing it without a computer is actually more important initially. Afterwards, you can always look at the computer to help you, but I think you need to do intense. And you need to be able to follow a certain player. You need to follow a player that plays your style, that plays your kind of games, so that you can assess what is happening in the current situation, that you can see what is he doing, so that you can not necessarily copy him blindly, but follow his type of style.
Yeah.
So you need to have some player that you can mold your player around.
Mark, one of the things that that I've also noted is that in the Western Province League, which is probably one of the strongest leagues on the continent, you have been unbeaten for the last 2 years playing for Steinitz. And how did that come about, Mark, that you remain unbeaten and you contribute to a winning team?
Yeah, that's hard work. That's hard work, especially playing in that team. One has got to You cannot just expect a place in the team. You must earn your place in that team. And it took hard work. And of course, there's always young ones coming up. And I've got to constantly show the young ones I'm still up there. I'm still ready to fight. And
Yes.
I practice all the time. I go through my games all the time.
No, Mark, thank you very much for those wise words of wisdom. And I just want to end off the show by reminding the viewers that Mark is the current Western Cape Close champion and the Western Cape Club champion with Steinitz also. So, Mark, you're wearing two titles there of Western Cape titles. And of course, the fact that you have also represented South Africa at the full senior Olympiad has also made you an Olympian. So, Mark, some great achievements that you and your family can be proud of, and that we are all proud of your achievements as well, Mark. So thank you from my side for agreeing to be on the Reflection Show tonight with Calvin and myself, and just sharing your insight. Mark, any last comments for the viewers before we leave?
No, I just wish that we can get back to normal chess. I'm looking forward to that with everything possible. And yeah, I just want chess players must play. We must just enjoy our game. We must enjoy and have respect for each other, and that will
100%.
eternity.
Yeah. Mark, thank you very much for your comments and your insights.
Thanks for having this channel. It's great to be part of it. I wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you very much, Mark. Calvin, from my side, I've concluded my questions for Mark Lewis tonight, and it's great having him on board, showing us his game that literally won him the SA Close Championship there in 2017. Calvin, can I announce my guest for next week?
All right. So thanks, Lennon. Before you do that, I also just want to thank Mr. Lewis for joining us this evening. It's been wonderful having him on, and it's been great actually starting the show off with that nice game, Mr. Lou. I've seen some games from you, and this one was also quite enjoyable. I must also add, Mr. Lou won that Western Cape closed. I was there watching him all the way through. I wasn't playing, but I was supporting Robin there as well, and Mr. Lou actually was giving Robin quite a tough time there on the chessboard. I don't know. I think they managed to draw, right? But
yes.
But yeah, Mr. Lewis was definitely unstoppable in that event. Quite a nice one, and he was the Western Cape president as well. You were the Western Cape president as well, so you've got everything going on the Western Cape front, and so from my side, Mr. Lou, thanks so much. I can also mention that I think that the game that you mentioned, you beat Makoto in. I was also part of that team. I think we were traveling together, and I remember that some Groenveld game that you played over there. So it's always been nice being part of your team and just traveling together and just chatting and everything. So it's been wonderful, and all the best forward with your chess ambitions and everything like that. So thanks once again, Mr. Lou, and thanks, Lennon, for hosting this show and getting Mark on as well. So next week, guys, we've got a special guest. Lyndon, can you tell us who do we have next week?
So I'd like all of us to join, and we will be interviewing South Africa's first Grandmaster all the way from Italy, Kenny Solomon. And Kenny has agreed to be with us next Tuesday, and we will be chatting with him. We won't be looking at his games because we'll leave that for Calvin and that analysis for another day. But we will get to hear about Kenny's insights into chess, and we'll probably have about 90 minutes of chat with him at 7 p.m. next Tuesday.
Fantastic. So, guys, you don't want to miss out on this one. Make sure you jot it down on your calendar and tell your friends about it. Tell them to come and follow us. Press the follow button. Let me just read the last few comments from people saying thank you over here. So Istvan says, nice one, Mark. Roland says, Mark Lewis is a legend. Monster Frick says, thank you, Mark, for sharing your knowledge and insights with us. Also, thank you, Calvin and Lennon, for hosting tonight. Thanks, Monster Frick. King also says, thanks for sharing, Mark. Thorough coverage of the fundamentals and depth. Very inspiring. Thanks, Calvin, London, on fire. Okay, and yeah, so thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. And next week, like Lennon said, we've got Grandmaster Kenny Solomon on the show. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Lennon. Thanks, Mark. Enjoy the rest of your evening. See you guys.
Thanks, guys. See you,
Enjoy.
Mark. See you,
Thank
Calvin.
you.
Right, everybody.
Cheers,
Bye.
cheers.